Welcome back to Philadelphia Airport. About a month has passed since our last visit and things remain dynamic. With Christmas fast approaching, passengers have only one wish: to make it home in time, but can the airport and airlines deliver? PHL isn't for the faint-hearted, as we will find out over the coming months. It has been an exciting year for Philadelphia Airport, with several big infrastructure projects being completed. The airport has truly been transformed. Only those pesky ground operations haven't quite been able to maintain the image of a new and improved airport. Still, with the winter flight schedule in full effect, traffic numbers have calmed down a bit, which has helped relieve some of the difficulties experienced on the ground. An exception to this is of course the busy holiday season. Delays are always a problem, but especially at this time of the year, passengers are less forgiving if travel plans fall through. So let's hope for the best. Over at Terminal 1A Pier, we find Frontier Airlines in full swing with this Airbus A320neo that arrived earlier this afternoon from Tampa and is now being prepared for its next flight, which will bring it to Denver. There are still about 25 minutes left until pushback. An aircraft from Frontier Airlines that is just arriving, well, is this A320neo. This aircraft has landed only a few minutes ago from San Juan and will later this afternoon then go out to Boston after a hopefully successful turnaround. In the next gate, we find a Boeing 737-800 of United Airlines that today has been deployed on the airline's route between Philadelphia and Chicago. With about 20 minutes left until the scheduled departure time, the last pieces of luggage are being loaded, to the delight of passengers that are already boarding the aircraft, as it means an on-time departure is very likely. JetBlue is a regular sight at PHL, but after a failed partnership with American Airlines, followed by a failed takeover of Spirit Airlines, the airline finds itself in a precarious situation in the market. So sometimes attack is the best defense, which has led to speculations about a possible JetBlue expansion of services at PHL, including intercontinental traffic from PHL utilizing the airline's Airbus A321neo fleet. For now, this is, however, just rumors. What isn't a rumor but very much a fact is that we can find an A320 of the airline that today is flying between Boston and Philadelphia. With just under 30 minutes left until its next scheduled departure, chances are also here very good for an on-time departure. Right now cargo is being loaded and catering is also at the scene. An aircraft being pushed out of the gate area right now is this A220-300 of JetBlue that is heading for New York JFK, which is also where the aircraft arrived from just about an hour ago, and thereby leaving the A pier here of Terminal 1. But who knows, if JetBlue was to increase their capacity at the airport, if that even would be possible with the current capacities of T1, or if they would need to move elsewhere. Not moving out of Terminal 1 for the foreseeable future is Air Canada, who have been operating out of this part of the airport for many years, and so also on today's flight coming in from Toronto with a slight delay of about 5 minutes, which will leave now just about 40 minutes for this turnaround, should however still be enough time to make an on-time departure if everything goes smoothly. Over at the B Concourse, we find this Boeing 737-800 of American Airlines. This aircraft arrived about 20 minutes ago from Chicago and is now being prepared for its flight out to Boston, which will be leaving in about 40 minutes time. Not quite on time will this A321 be leaving. The American Airlines aircraft came in earlier today from West Palm Beach and is now scheduled to go out in 10 minutes to San Diego. However, procedures on the ground have delayed a little bit, which means the aircraft is still loading, even catering is still on board, and as the aircraft is also still being refueled, boarding hasn't started yet. So yes, a delay is inevitable, but hopefully it will not turn out to be too lengthy. Almost ready to go is the CRJ 900 of American Eagle that came in earlier today from Toronto and is now ready to be pushed out for Washington, D.C. Only the last few pieces of ground equipment need to be pulled aside, and then the aircraft can actually be pushed out of the gate ahead of schedule. Not quite as far are proceedings over here at this A321neo of American Airlines, but I think an on-time departure is also still well within the cards of this departure. The aircraft arrived earlier this afternoon from Los Angeles and is now being prepared for a flight to Phoenix. Currently the aircraft is being refueled. As soon as that has completed, boarding will begin. Boarding completed and all doors in flight. That command has been given on board the 737-800 of Alaska Airlines that has come in from Seattle to where it will be returning now after a about hour stay here at Philadelphia. The pushback truck is ready, the jet bridge has been retracted, the crew is just waiting for the clearance from the tower. Visiting the airport today is Aer Lingus with one of their Airbus A330-300 aircraft that on behalf of the IAG is operating the route between Manchester and Philadelphia. The aircraft arrived a little earlier this afternoon, is right now being prepared to be pushed over to a remote stand where it will remain until later this evening when it will be departing back to Manchester in the UK. Fairly calm is the situation also around this Bombardier CRJ 900 of American Eagle that earlier today arrived from Burlington. And with about 40 minutes until its scheduled departure to Charleston, as I said, things remain very calm around this aircraft. So yeah, smooth sailing. One of the biggest changes that Terminal 1 has undergone is of course the renovation of C Concourse, but also B Concourse was impacted by the changes. In the past, C Concourse had one A380 capable gate, from where airlines such as Emirates or the Oneworld partner of American Airlines, Malaysia Airlines, were operating from. With Malaysia Airlines not operating the type anymore, and no other Oneworld airline currently operating the A380 into PHL, the airport decided to increase the gate capacity of B and C Concourse by scrapping the single A380 gate. This was also made possible as the newly renovated Terminal 2 by now is able to handle up to 4 A380 aircraft at the same time, something that hadn't been possible in the past. So over at the C Concourse we find this Airbus A319 of American Airlines that about 40 minutes ago arrived from Portland and has still about just under 30 minutes left until its departure to Jacksonville, which does seem very likely. The aircraft is already being loaded and the cabin is being prepared for passengers that soon will be starting boarding the aircraft. So how about this ERJ 170 of American Eagle? Well, this aircraft arrived from Montreal in Canada and will now be heading to Knoxville. It still has about 15 minutes left, so things are definitely a little bit more tight over here compared to the A319, but also here an on-time departure should be possible. At around 20 minutes to 2 in the afternoon, the American Airlines Boeing 777-300ER made its way to Philadelphia after a flight from London Heathrow. The aircraft is now being prepared for its next long-haul flight, which will bring it back to Europe, but in this case to the French capital of Paris. With an hour and 10 minutes left on the ground crews need to keep up to make sure that it will be leaving on time. And taxiing past all of that is another 777 of American Airlines, but in this case a 200ER that has just come in from Lisbon in Portugal and will remain here on the ground for a couple of hours until it then will be heading to Madrid in Spain. British Airways can also be found at the airport here today with the Airbus A350-1000 that is being operated on the London Heathrow-Philadelphia route of the airline. The aircraft is scheduled to leave at 20 minutes to 7 in the evening, so there is still plenty of time. In fact, the aircraft might even be pushed out of the gate for 1 or 2 hours in order to free up gate space here at the terminal. An airline that has been in trouble for quite some time now and even has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection is Spirit Airlines, that also can be found at the airport here today. In fact, this Airbus A320neo of Spirit Airlines has just arrived from Atlanta and will make a short stop here at the airport and then continue on to Miami. Also in trouble, but kind of a different way, is the A319 of Spirit Airlines that can be found here at the airport grounds today. The aircraft arrived early this morning from New York Newark and had a scheduled departure time at 9 o'clock for Orlando. Passengers are still waiting at the gate but have no information whether the flight will be further delayed or even cancelled. Truly not a great situation, and there is yet to be any announcement made from the airline. Also here in the remote stands we find an Airbus A320 of Allegiant Air that has come in on a special charter flight earlier this afternoon from Fort Lauderdale. The current scheduled departure time is set for 16 minutes past 4 in the afternoon, but as this is a chartered flight, this might still be moved further back. An aircraft where the departure time hopefully will not be pushed back is with this A220-100 of Delta Airlines that today is being deployed on the Philadelphia-Detroit rotation. The departure time is currently set for 4:30 in the afternoon, and if nothing goes wrong, that should also remain so. On short final and about to touch down here in Philadelphia is American Airlines oneworld partner Finnair with their Airbus A350-900 coming in from Helsinki in Finland. The aircraft will remain here on the ground for a few hours and then is scheduled to return back to Finland at 10 minutes past 6 in the evening. Over at the Bongo Inn, a special convention for people who can't stand Christmas is taking place. To the big annoyance of participants, the PA system in the lobby of the hotel is experiencing a technical malfunction, resulting in the song Last Christmas by Wham to be played on repeat all day. Technicians of the hotel are trying their best to fix the issue. So apart from some technical issues at the airport hotel, things are going surprisingly well for the airport so far. So let's head over to Terminal 2 for a closer look at the situation over there. Over at Terminal 2, we find an Airbus A380-800 of the German airline Lufthansa that is using this aircraft type from the airline's hub at Munich Airport to Philadelphia. The aircraft is currently being prepared for its return flight back to Munich, which is scheduled to leave at 10 minutes past 4 in the afternoon. Also a European carrier from the Lufthansa Group is Swiss International Airlines, and the airline is using this Boeing 777-300ER on the route from Zurich to Philadelphia. This aircraft has a scheduled departure time at 5 minutes past 4 in the afternoon. Currently cargo and catering is at the scene and the aircraft is being refueled. An aircraft just arriving right now is this Airbus A330-300 of Scandinavian Airlines. As the airline just recently has switched from the Star Alliance to the SkyTeam Airline Alliance, the airline will soon be moving its operations out of Terminal 2 and over to Terminal 3. This also means that this is one of the last arrivals of the airline here at Terminal 2 that is just coming in from Copenhagen. Another 4-engined Lufthansa aircraft can be found in the stand next to the SAS. In this case, it is a A340-300 of the German airline Lufthansa. that is being deployed on the route to and from Frankfurt. The aircraft is currently being handled by ground crews, and as soon as the aircraft has been closed down, it will be pushed over to a remote stand to free up gate space at the terminal. The aircraft is scheduled to return to Frankfurt later this evening. Next up, we find a Dreamliner, a 787-10 of Etihad Airways. The aircraft has of course arrived in from Abu Dhabi to where it will be returning at around 5 p.m. later in the afternoon. Also here, ground crews are finishing up their work with the inbound flight before they then will start working on the aircraft as an outbound flight. Taxiing towards its gate area is the Airbus A350-900 of Qatar Airways that has just arrived from Doha with a slight delay of about 10 minutes, but of course on long-haul flights that is next to nothing, and it should not impact the scheduled departure time set at 15 minutes past 5 in the afternoon. Taxiing towards its stand, however not at Terminal 2 but Terminal 3, is the 737 MAX 8 of Aeromexico that has just arrived from Mexico City with a delay of about 20 minutes. The scheduled departure time set at 4 o'clock in the afternoon should still be possible, but ground crews really do need to keep an watchful eye at the clock. In one of the gates of Terminal 3 we find a Boeing 737 MAX 9 of Copa Airlines that has arrived earlier today from Panama City. The aircraft is pretty much in the middle of its turnaround, and if nothing goes completely wrong, this aircraft should be able to leave on time. Only 20 minutes left and the clock is ticking. That is the situation for this Airbus A330-900neo of Virgin Atlantic that today is being deployed on the airline's route between London Heathrow and Philadelphia International Airport. 20 minutes might seem like a long time, but there are still plenty of things that need to be carried out around the aircraft. Ground crews are struggling here to keep up. Taxiing towards its stand at the other side of Terminal 3 is this Airbus A321neo of Mexican low-cost carrier Volaris that fittingly has just arrived from Mexico City and still has about 1 hour left on the clock for its return flight back to the Mexican capital city. Will they make it in time? Well, it's way too early to tell. After this Boeing 777-300ER reached its final parking position here at Philadelphia, passengers started deboarding the aircraft, and the last luggage is also being offloaded currently. Once all that is done, the aircraft will then be pushed over to a remote stand, as the scheduled departure for Paris Charles de Gaulle isn't set until 8:30 in the evening, and there's no need to block up valuable gate spaces here at Terminal 3 until then. Next to the Air France we find another 777, but in this case of LATAM Brazil. The aircraft has come in from Sao Paulo and has only about 15 minutes left on the clock for its departure. However, the aircraft is still being loaded with cargo, catering is also still there, and the aircraft is still being refueled, which means boarding hasn't started yet, and refueling will take on at least 5 more minutes. A slight delay is probably inevitable. This will hopefully not be the case of the 737 MAX 8 of a new airline here at Philadelphia, Arajet. In fact, this is the inaugural flight, so the return flight back to Santo Domingo should hopefully be able to leave on time. Ground crews are certainly doing whatever they can to ensure that. Much calmer than over at Terminal 3 is the situation at the remote stands, where we find a 7478F of Atlas Air that arrived in the middle of the night or very early in the morning, depending on how you look at it. The aircraft came in from Germany, specifically Frankfurt-Hahn Airport, to where it is also scheduled to return, but that return flight isn't scheduled until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, explaining why it is so calm around the aircraft right now. And it's not getting much more busy around the next aircraft, which is a 7878 of American Airlines that was pushed over here to relieve the gate areas of Terminal 1 after its arrival from Dallas-Fort Worth, as the aircraft won't be deployed until later this evening, when it will be heading out to Barcelona in Spain. And with that, we have reached the end of today's airport tour. Surely, the airport was helped by the favorable weather conditions today, but no matter the reason, the fact that operations so close to Christmas have been going so well has to be taken as a little PHL Christmas miracle.